Michael, you got a debutant this week?
Yes, we do. Will White, so pretty good story. Obviously been a Carlton supporter all his life as well, so come through our VFL program, been here for a while. Obviously was fortunate enough to train with us over the Christmas period, over the pre-season, and probably elevated himself, to be fair. It was a bit unexpected to be able to see him come through and find himself on a list, and you imagine when you persist with things and keep the dream alive, and he's going to be able to play against Collingwood at the MCG in a very big game. So, he's a pretty excited young man.
What can Blue supporters expect from him?
Well, he's got some speed, and like his presence and zippiness will be something that we will obviously want on the ground. He's a great runner, and will obviously bring that speed as well. So, yeah, if he touches it, you'll know. But he's full of life. He's full of energy, and I imagine he's going to be pretty excited. But we'll try and make it as normal as possible for him. But let's be honest, it's going to be very different for him.
Obviously, growing up as a Carlton supporter yourself, what did Carlton and Collingwood games mean to you?
Oh, they're pretty huge. Just being able to watch all the classic games, and through the '80s, and I've spoken about that quite a fair bit. That's probably more my era. So to be able to see them go toe to toe, and I think one of the really unique things about them is that no matter where you sit or what time of the season it actually is, whether it's round 1 or it's been round 22, they have huge importance. And there's something that when you look on the calendar, you do circle, and it's something to look forward to. So no different for us. In our most recent of history here, we've had some very close ones. A few more have gone against us than gone for us, but shows you how tight these games are. And look, often they come down to moments, and do you get to own them or don't you? And we'll look forward to that occasion if it shows itself.
Will Harry Mackay play?
I probably won't go into the H stuff. I think the important thing for us is that we don't get in a dialogue weekly about where he's at.
Yep.
I think we've been pretty sound on our position as a club that when he's named in the team, he'll be ready to go.
You mentioned White, and if he gets it, you'll know. Obviously, as you've spoken so much about the second halves and conditioning, how much did that come into the selection?
Sorry, I missed the first part of that conversation. What was that?
You mentioned that if he touches it, we'll know, because he'll sort of take off with it. Got a bit of speed and fitness, obviously.
Yeah.
How much did the conditioning in him come into the second halves that you've had in the selection?
Oh, nothing at all, really. It was a positional requirement. Feel like we can add value to our team. Hopefully he's a guy who can hit the scoreboard. But he's earned his spot in the team. I think we look at the performance, and as players have earned it, and as we know, when you've got players in form, you've got some young players who stand up. It's not so much when you play them. It's if they're ready to go, they're ready to go.
Did Williams get up this week?
Yeah, he trained yesterday, so he got through a full session yesterday. So pulls up well today. He should be ready to go.
Do you know if Harry's playing? Can I just ask you that?
No, I'm not going to get in a weekly conversation about it. So we'll when we get to the point where he's named, you'll just know that he's ready to go. So I think as an industry we've sort of been really supportive, and I think for us that's where we need to stay right now. And as you can appreciate, if I'm standing up here every week and I'm answering that question, then I don't think we're fulfilling what we'd like to be.
What have you done this week to correct your second half? So obviously starting well, but then second half slides. What's done different this week?
Not so much different. I think it's more reinforcement and persisting with what we want to see. We've seen, everyone's seen it. We've seen great patches, and we've seen patches where we've fallen away. It's not like we don't expect an opposition to be able to play good football. They're going to have their 10-minute patches, 15-minute patches, but obviously we've got to minimise that more than what it currently stands. And so our ability to be able to stick on our task and stay present right throughout, that's what it's going to require. So we've had opportunities. It's probably going to come down to how we maximise them.
And so you've been overrun in games, but you're not using all of your interchange rotations. Is there a reason for that? I mean, there was 63 out of 75 last week.
Yeah, it might have happened on a weekend. Some of those you've got to treat as an outlier. You obviously don't want that. You want to obviously use everyone that you possibly can. So they're all the things that go into working out how we can make it better. Sometimes it's when the rotation is, how players rotate, the timing of it, where we want to put our high intensity players. So there's a few factors into it. It's not as just as simple as one particular thing. Often there's a couple of things that we need to get after, and one of it's how we want to continue to play. That'll help. Some of it's around the rotations. That might help a little bit more too. So, yeah, there's a few factors that go into it.
If Tom De Koning's being offered millions more to leave the club than he is to stay, how do you convince him to stay at the club?
Our job is just to keep the environment, really sound and a place he wants to be at. So that's our job, and I feel like we've been able to do that. I look at Tom's form, and he's in very good form. So I know he's in great condition. He's great headspace, and he loves being here. And for me, that's the part that we get to look after. And he's building steadily every single week. So it says to me in his great place, and we'll continue to reinforce that.
If your captain, Patrick Cripps, met with another coach, another club, what would you say to him if he's out of contract?
Well, I think we're in a professional organisation, aren't we now? I wouldn't have thought there's necessarily an expectation that players aren't doing that. I don't think it means that necessarily the rank plays a role. It's so look. I think what we are in is an environment where you want to make sure that you're just providing the best thing you possibly can for your players, and that's what our job is, to provide the best environment, best program. Our retention of our players has been really, really sound over a long period of time. That's what we get to look after. But the commentary otherwise, we sort of appreciate that. Clearly some of that is actually going to happen.
And the Ryan Mansell getting 3 weeks and that being upheld, are you clear on that now and you know where it stands?
Certainly a deterrent, isn't it? It's I can't imagine it happening too much more now, but there are going to be instances where it's going to continue. I spoke on the other night, but players have a great way of being able to adapt. We've probably had a shorter time than normal to have to adapt. I mean, it's so it's just something that players are just going to have to make sure that we get the training under our belt, and players are really mindful of it, because I think we can appreciate that the intention of that is not necessary to harm anyone, and the intention of that is certainly not get yourself suspended. So the players will get after that and make sure that we just get the umpires out here, just so we've got real clarity around what that looks like about what you can and can't do. But as you've seen, there's a real emphasis on teams being able to ground other players and not coming off to support, and so we're just going to have to find the balance in what that actually looks like moving forward.
Craig said yesterday he'd reached out to you just to see how you were tracking. Although he's on the other side this week, and what does it mean to have that sort of support that him and others, I'm sure, are checking in on you to see what you're doing at this point?
No, well, Fly and I might surprise you, but we talk quite a fair bit, so it's nothing unusual. But any time you get into competition, it's he's the other side, and you've got your job to do, and he's got his. So, and you wouldn't expect it to be any different. But at the same time, football has its place, and once that battle's over, clearly the relationship continues. So that's what it's been for me. So no, I would expect it to be no different. But support always is really sound. I'd like to think it's sound whether you're winning or whether you're losing.
Also, are you feeling the pressure of being Norton 3? I'm not talking about from the media, I'm talking about from your own fans.
What I'm more concerned about is that we keep following through on how we expect to play. That's what I'm more concerned about than anything else. So I know as a collective we get that job done. That's helped us in the past, and it'll help us now. So from my point of view, it's probably where my focus lies is on Collingwood, and how do we get execute, and how do we. And it's a completely exciting game to be involved in when you sort of think Thursday night. And I talk about it a lot, but it's. Sometimes you've got to remind yourself that the game itself and what we're going there, we're privileged to do. So we look forward to that. So, we look forward to playing in front of a big crowd. We look forward to being able to play against Collingwood, against good opposition. And we look forward to being able to take our moments when they show themselves. So that's where all my energy goes.
Contest clearance has been a staple of your coaching here. I mean, do you feel as if that part of the game is still as important in 2025? I mean, it's always important, but is it as important as it's been?
Well, I think it is, because territory on the ground is still what every club's looking for. I don't know whether there'd be a club that'd stand up here and say it's not, but it's one part of the game. Certainly, if you sort of probably take a balanced view over time, I think we were top 4 in transition last year, but we were 17th in defending stoppages. So we're always looking for that balanced profile. one part of our game is not as good as what we want it to be. So we've got to make sure we address it, and that comes with, unfortunately, a little bit of persistence and reinforcement and encouraging players to keep playing the same way. And but if you sort of look at, I guess, if you want to sort of buy into that conversation, it's, over time, I think we sort of last year were very sound in that area. It's not as exactly as we'd want it now. And the other area was not in as healthy shape. Well, we've sort of been able to correct some of that, but it shows that you need a balanced profile, and we don't have that balanced right now, not yet anyway.
It's been reported, I think Jake Niall reported that Elijah Holland is expected to play VFL this week. Can you confirm that?
He will, yeah. So he was obviously played the practice match here on Saturday, so that's good. I mean, Elijah's obviously been able to take some time away from the club, but I guess over the last little while he certainly had more presence within the program, and to the point where he played on the weekend, and he'll pick up. And I guess how he finds himself way back into the team is by putting in a solid performance. So it becomes down to a performance discussion now about when he comes into the team.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you for that.